What better way to celebrate the fall flavors than with a sourdough pumpkin bread? I usually start the night before by activating my sourdough starter, and if you've been following me, you might know that I call myself the queen of eyeballing, so I'm just adding a little bit of water to my little bit of sourdough starter and adding flour. However, I do bake a lot with sourdough, so I kind of have a feeling for how much flour I need to add to achieve the right consistency, and stirring always helps. I guess I need a little bit more flour here for this one. And I like to use my hands because there's also good cultures on my hands that I like to transfer into my sourdough starter. And then I have recently been experimenting with the Sour House Goldie, this device that keeps the sourdough starter at the optimal temperature. I love making pumpkin puree from fresh pumpkins rather than using something out of a can. I think it doesn't really have the flavor and it just doesn't compare at all. So I love to get fresh pumpkins from farm stands or the pumpkin patch and scoop out all the seeds with a sharp spoon. And if you are like me, you like to also save the seeds because you can later wash off the stringy mass from the pumpkin seeds and then you can roast them and add them to other dishes. I need a little bowl to collect the pumpkin seeds. No need to throw them out and waste them when there's so much goodness in them. And it really helps me slow down and appreciate all the foods that we make from scratch. Next, I'm adding water to a pot, and I have a stainless steel steamer insert. And once the water is boiling, I put the pumpkin half in there, lid on, and steam it until the pumpkin is soft. The pumpkin is soft. It's still pretty hot, as you can see, but I wanted to get going, so I'm just gonna scoop it out while it's hot, and I can barely touch it, but I'm gonna do the best I can and add it right to my blender. If you don't have a high-speed blender, you can always use a food processor or immersion blender. And here's my Vitamix blender, and I didn't add any water, so it's just steamed pumpkin, and I blend it until it is a nice, smooth, silky consistency. Here's my pumpkin puree. Out of this one pumpkin, I get more puree than I need. Now for the loaf, I add flour to a bowl, baking soda, and the full recipe is linked in the description box below this video so you can print it out and have it in your kitchen. And here we have a lot of cinnamon, pumpkin spice. You can always make your own, but I have an organic pumpkin spice mix that I really like. Some sea salt, I stir that up because I like to be efficient and I like to make my recipes in one bowl if I possibly can. And then I have brown sugar, which always gives it a nice deep flavor, and some regular cane sugar. Again, mixing all the ingredients, and I have a little bit of some lumps in the brown sugar. Here's my pumpkin puree, adding that straight to the dry mix. Making sure I get everything out. I have some melted butter and 2 eggs that I crack right into my bowl here. I have a cup of sourdough starter that I activated the evening before, so it's really at its peak. Now mix that with a handheld mixer until it's all combined. And lastly, I'm adding chocolate chips. I think that's a perfect addition, but that's optional. If you like your pumpkin bread without any chocolate, you can always omit that. For my loaf pan, I love to add some oil and spread that around with a pastry brush. It really helps removing the loaf later, and you don't have to scrape around the sides or anything. And I do like to make sure that the oil is coating the entire loaf pan. And then I add a little bit of flour, shake that around to cover the sides a little bit and the bottom. It's really most important. I could have done that over a sink, but I guess I'm just doing it here over the counter. Adding the batter to my loaf pan here. Quickly shake a little bit to even it out, and then I add it to my hot oven for about an hour. And when it's done, I like to do the toothpick test, and there's no batter remaining on it. It's all dry. Here is your fresh baked sourdough pumpkin loaf or pumpkin bread. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a lot more recipes right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.